Peter Miller, Condition Nutrition, JP Gallagher in the house, Andrew Whitelaw as well. Good to see you boys. You already know each other, right? But for those who don't know, if you could introduce yourselves and what you do, that'd be very helpful.
Pete, you go first.
So my job is to get fighters on weight for fights. That's pretty much mine in a nutshell. Yeah, so work with a lot of people on One Championship. John, Nico, and many others.
And I'm Nico Carrillo's coach and Stevie Irvin's coach, and I've also got my own gym in Bangkok. So
Quality, how's that going?
Just baby steps right now. We're just getting it opened and stuff, and then I'm going to officially announce everything soon. But we've got a nice stable up, like Thai fighters, that we're just putting together right now, and we're getting bits and bobs done to the gym and stuff. But we're done soon, look really soon. So.
Quality, are you both going to be at the show on Friday?
I actually think I am. I'm possibly going to be in Japan for Pet Dam's fight. So I think it'll be at the show. That show sold out a long time ago, though.
Yeah, I'm getting the bail and all that, so that's the only way I'm getting.
I don't think that show sold out ages ago. I think like 2 months ago or something.
Pete, have you got any fighters on the show?
Yeah, I've got three fighters.
Standard.
I've got Otis, Nabil, Elias as well.
Wow, Otis is a beast. So he is. He's a monster.
Yeah, he's
really good.
He's massive. Like he's a unit. Don't reckon potentially that weight class for much longer, but we'll see. Let's see what happens.
What age is he?
I think he's like 20, 19, 20.
He's massive. It's huge.
Yeah.
What fight are you boys most looking forward to for this one? Of course, you know, you're going to have a bit of personal interest, Pete, but objectively, in terms of spectacle, what are you looking forward to, JP?
I'm actually really looking forward to Elias Inachi's comeback. He was my favourite kickboxer when he was fighting. Like, I think he's super talented, super tough. He's very entertaining, and he's not been active at all. So I'm really excited to see Elias back. But most of all, I'm excited to see Nongo fight, because a lot of people are doubting Nongo for this fight, and I do not doubt him one bit. So I'm actually really looking forward to Nongo's fight.
What about you, Pete?
Probably the same with Nongo, to be fair. That's going to be a decent fight, I think. It's going to be a good one, Nabil, as well, because it's going to be a good crowd, that as well. So I think, yeah, probably them two. The ones I know, obviously seeing Otis again in his second fight. Yeah, that's probably the three for me.
So I was interested on your story, JP. You wrote 100%. I'm going with Nongo. So he's 37. People write you off, but he looks sharp. He looks in good nick. He's still, you know, look what he almost did to Nico. He's still one of the best in the world, right? Could you take us through why you think he's going to win? Because Nabati looks like an absolute killer.
So my take on it is right, that no one, like, in a long time, no one's actually came close to even hurting Nico. Am I still on this?
You are, mate. I've given you the spotlight.
So, like, no one in a very, very long time is even came close to hurting Nico. And Nongo managed to absolutely destroy Nico's leg. Nico got a very, very, very strong version of Nongo, because when he fought Haggerty, Nongo was away abroad teaching seminars and stuff, and he got caught cold and he lost his belt. So Nongo prepared extra hard for Nico for a long time. Nico got the best version of him. He just came up short. Nico clipped him and it was done. But the damage he done to Nico's leg was incredible. And the size difference and stuff like that, like, Nongo was on fire. Then he came back and beat Kulabdan with ease. And I think people don't realise, like, the level of fighters Nongo is lost to. I believe Nico can knock anybody out. Everybody thinks it's just because Nico sparked him, all he's done, all his chin's ruined. I don't believe it is. And I don't believe Nabati has fought at the same level. I don't think he's fought at this level yet. I just don't see how Nongo loses.
A lot of people have been saying that Nabati hasn't fought anyone at this level yet. Pete, what do you reckon?
It was just last fight, Black, was it?
Yeah, that was the second time he's put him away early, right? He fought him in, I'm not sure, was it in Russia?
That looked like Russia was the first time.
I seen a video that, I don't know if he got tagged in it, about knocking someone out with a head kick. Like, I haven't really seen much of him, to be honest with you, to give like a solid opinion, but I think you can't underestimate Nongo.
I think it looked scared, I think, Sewer Black in that last fight. It was as if he knew the shot was coming. I don't feel like he looked himself. I'm not writing Nabati off. I think he's very strong. He's got a very unorthodox and like kind of hard to beat style, which is quite suitable for one. But I just don't believe he's fought at this level yet, and I believe he needs more fights at this level to prove himself. But I just don't think he'll beat Nongo.
What, in your experience, 37 years old as a bantamweight at this level, having that many fights, what's your perspective on that in terms of your condition? Like, can it be done? Can he go and have another crack at the title at 37?
I don't know, because he would need to get through Nico, wouldn't he? And I don't believe he could last the distance with Nico. So obviously Nico's going to have the belt soon, that's a fact. And then obviously if he wants to have another crack at the title, it needs to be Nico. Personally, I wouldn't like Nongo and Nico to fight against. Nongo's my hero, and we've got a really, really good relationship with him. But I don't think he could beat I don't think he could beat Nico. So nah, I don't think so.
Nabati trains down at Phuket Fight Club. I think he's been training with Pampayak. I was down there the other day. First of all, my word, Pampayak's got one of the best left kicks I've ever seen in my life. It was unbelievable. But yeah, he's been sparring with him down there. Seems to have a really good thing going on there. Seems like he's got the whole package, like great hands, lots of power, really good in these 4-ounce gloves, speaks perfect English, more or less, gives a good interview. So from my point of view, I'm very intrigued by Nabati and what he's bringing to this division. I mean, he's been touted for a while, right, as like this killer. And yeah, Nongo's the ultimate test.
I dare say he will be. I dare say he will come to like top level. Do you know what I mean? He might surprise me. Do you know what I mean? He might surprise me and he might win, but I just don't think he will. But I do believe he definitely will. He's going to be a problem for everybody soon. He's on a good trajectory, but I just feel like he couldn't hurt Avatar and he couldn't hurt Pongsery. Like, couldn't put them away, and I feel like Nongo's levels and levels above both the guys. Like, levels and levels above. So I think Nongo's gonna shock everybody and show that he has still got it. Definitely.
I'm fascinated by it. Yeah, very difficult one to call. Pete, when a fighter is a bit older, how do you approach that? How do you approach the weight cut? How do you approach the conditioning? Does it affect your approach?
Not particularly, mate. Not particularly. If the weight's in a good place, it's kind of the same principles as someone who was fighting at 2021. So it already depends on, like, for example, with Liam had a long layoff with injury, so it was like easing him back in. It took a while, like a longer camp, whereas maybe someone younger might only require a shorter camp. But it all really depends on where they're at. But if they don't really cut much weight, it's kind of pretty much the same principles as someone who was younger.
How was 168 for you? Was it sad to see Liam retire? I was buzzing to hear that he's going to have one more in London.
It was obviously a mixed bag, because 3 people on and 3 of the team lost, so it wasn't the best scenario. But it's the game, isn't it? That happens. Good experience, and like to be out there and help them. The event itself was unbelievable. I was surprised how good, like, the atmosphere in there was unbelievable. I don't know if I wasn't really expecting that. Makes you think like Atlanta's going to be just as good as well. So yeah, sad to see with Liam, but he's got his fight on Hitman, so it'd be good to see his final fight there and help him for his final fight, which is good for me to work with someone. Only worked him for a short period of time, but to work with someone that caliber and to help him, it's like, yeah, it's sick.
What were your big takeaways from 168, JP? And I don't know if you saw today, there was the online presser with Chatri. I asked him, can anyone stop Superlek? You know, he went on to say Nico is next and sort of start to break down the fight a little bit, which was quite interesting, I thought, talking about Nico's strength.
I've not actually seen it. The breakdown.
It's not published yet, but it was just like,
okay.
yeah, but I'll do something on it. But it's good to hear him say that because it's such a fun fight. You know, it's massive. And obviously you've got a vested interest.
Of course, it's the only fight that makes sense as well, really. Like, you can only hold it off for so long before you give him the belt, and I feel like it's been enough time and then some. Like, it needs to be now. You know what I mean? So it needs to be. It needs to be.
You worked with Superlek for a bit, Pete. Can he still make flyweight? Is he basically a bantamweight now?
Do you know what? The one thing that surprised me when he got into the cage is he looked a lot bigger than I thought he'd be. Like at the ceremonial weigh-ins, like John looked a lot bigger than him, and when he got in the cage, he did fill out. So I don't know if he do flyweight, because last time he did flyweight, that's when one reached out to me to get him to make flyweight. So I think, yeah, I don't know. I suppose it all depends on what fight gets offered, really.
How much as a lover of the sport are you looking forward to Carrillo versus Superlek, Pete?
Obviously, well, I work with Nico too, so if that fight happens, it's going to be good to be a part of. And yeah, it's going to be an exciting fight. And it seems like it's inevitable now for that to happen. And the bantamweight division at the moment is stacked with talent as well. Like Nabil's coming up, you know. I reckon probably in like a year or so time, he probably get a shot at the title as well. So, yeah, it's a pretty stacked division at the moment. And John's going to get his chance again. Yeah, interesting for me working with all three.
Yeah, it's mad. It's mad. I don't know how you do it. How do you do it? How do you juggle all of this, and how do you stay friends with everyone or stay civil with everyone?
I think for me, I'm just that, like, I am who I am, and like everything that I do is confidential and it's building like good relationships with the fighters. So, you know, we've never had the scenario where, well, I've had when Smilla fought Natalia for the title, that's happened before, but I'm strictly professional. My job is to get them on weight, feeling good, on like making sure that they're the best. So I feel that my job is a small cog in a big wheel. So there's so many other factors that influence it apart from nutrition. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. I feel like next year is going to be a year where a lot of fighters end up fighting each other. That work for me.
So in the presser today, another thing that came out, Chatri was saying like they've got a lot of big announcements, and you know, he ended it by saying something. I think Nick Atkin was asking him about John DeBella and Prajanchai. And Chatri ended by saying, well, who knows, maybe even Canada. I've been very intrigued as to if and when we're ever going to see the UK. There was talk about next year. I remember a lot of it was Haggerty and Carrillo headlining that. Have you guys heard anything? Like, is the UK a realistic one? Could that happen?
To be fair, after seeing Denver, I believe that one could put on a show anywhere now. Like, before, even until Denver, I was probably like, you hear Wembley and you're like, nah, it's a bit far-fetched, like, it's too big. But see, to be honest, looking at Denver, fucking absolutely rammed. People were paying good money for the tickets as well. So after seeing that, I believe that one's established itself enough to probably do a show wherever they want. I think, I feel like everything they're doing seems to be a success right now. I feel like they're just going up and up and up. I feel like everything's gone so well for them. I think all the teething problems they've had are gone now, and I think they have made it mainstream. So I would love to see it in the UK, and I definitely believe it's a realistic option.
Be interesting to see like who they put on the card. That would be the main event. What would be the co-main event? Would the introduce people that have been on like the one Lumpini scene and put them on the main card? Is it because there's so many fighters in the UK that you could have 10, 15 fights there already?
Of course.
Like so
I'd
many.
love to see like a massive like battle of Britain, either main or co-main, like a real rivalry, like a Scotsman versus an Englishman, and then like Thai versus English, Thai versus Scottish.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like some really good. There's so many storylines there, and one thing that strikes me: a lot of these big organizations always think about the US because they buy the most pay-per-views. It's such a massive market. It's so lucrative. But if you look at Muay Thai, particularly now, what's it we saw the other day, like that league table of like the best fighters in the world. Britain is like number 2 behind Thailand. It's kind of an unofficial list.
Britain's always been an amazing producer of fighters. It has been for a long time. Britain's got the best coaches, it's got the best fighters, and it always has done. But I believe it's because Britain really started sending fighters to Thailand early. So the coaches are very well schooled of what they pick. So it all comes back to Thailand. The coaches are very well schooled of what they learned out here. And it's just kind of instilled into their students. Then they became coaches. And I feel like it's just developed and got so much better over the years. I feel like the UK is definitely the best outside of Thailand.
I can't help but feel that in Britain as well, people would be willing to go out and spend money. They'd go and pay top dollar for tickets and drinks and t-shirts, all that stuff. Well, in comparison with a lot of markets around here, right? Nobody's going to be spending on as much
think
as
about as well. The UK fighters, there's people in different areas. So like Nico in Scotland, there's like Ellis Barbo's in Birmingham, there's like John in London, Liam in Leeds. Like there's so many different areas, so it just draws so many people together.
I'd love to see them do a show in Dubai. I think that'd be huge. Like like the boxing's going to the kind of Arab nations now. I think Dubai, Abu Dhabi or something. I think it'd be rammed. Obviously, they've done Qatar, but I feel like there's a large British population in Dubai and stuff now. I think Dubai would pop off. To be honest, it'd be huge.
I thought the Qatar card, out of all the cards I've been to, was probably the most disappointing card. That was just.
Yeah. That's what made me think. That's what made me think. Can one actually do it at Wembley? But then obviously Denver's changed my mind.
Yeah, them was what I couldn't believe it. It's like I got in just to the first fight, like the second round, the first fight, and it was near enough full. I couldn't believe how busy it was.
I seen the drone picture and I was like, oh my god, it looked fake. There was that many people there. Like, do you know what I mean? It looked like the same kind of crowd like WWE and stuff would get.
Yeah.
For Muay Thai, because it can only get better, surely, the more people find out about it.
No, it looked absolute quality. Honestly, I think next year is going to be a very exciting year in terms. Let's see what Atlanta's saying, but Denver was super promising, right? Let's move on to a couple of these fights then. Nabil first came on my radar. He was actually on this show with Nico a couple of weeks ago, and it was quite cool, very civil, very respectful. Because those guys are going to fight one day, right? They're at the top of the division. It's going to happen, isn't it?
We think Nabil's brilliant. I like Nabil as a person. I like Mehdi as a person. Like, we're all friends. Do you know what I mean? They're all good people, so there's no reason for us to not be respectful. Like, I think Nabil's unreal. I think he's so young, and I feel like he's really found his feet now. And of course, they're going to fight one day because Nabil's on a mad trajectory right now as well. I don't think right now he could fight with Nico, but I think it will come pretty soon. To be honest, he's only getting better and better. So,
what about those knees, man? He's got such an unusual frame.
Nabil can punch as well. Like, his boxing's really good, surprisingly good, because he's tall and skinny. Normally, it's the kind of small and compact fighters, or the kind of more heavy set fighters that are big punchers, but. He's a really, really good puncher, I think.
Well, I always remember the first time I started working with him, and he was literally like that. I couldn't believe how tall. The first time I met him in person, now he's filled out so much now. Like, so strong. Mehdi's always saying to me on the phone that like he's smashing everyone in training. He's just so strong. They have to get 3 people holding the pads with him, and like, it's crazy to think. Give a year or two. Like, he's going to be a monster. Well, he's already becoming a monster right now, and so yeah, I think another year, and then he's probably going to get another 2-3 fights next year, and then if all goes well, I'd say he'd be competing for the belt.
Aye, I'd say so.
He seems to be able to fight really regularly, and he seems to stay away from injury, right?
Yeah, well, his weight is he's always at a good place with his weight, and he's pretty on it with his food. He's always training, and that's a good thing when you've got a fighter who's always training. Nico's the same, like Haggerty's the same. When the fighters are always training, they're in a good position. Then, so when they do get a match, it's not like, oh shit, I'm really heavy, I need to get the weight down. They're in a good position where they can start straight away. So Nabil's a similar. I think he's had 3 in the last. This would be his 3rd in the last 6 months, and some people can't do that because they're too big.
What did you make of the matchup with Solinu? It's a funny one, isn't it? I mean, the height difference is massive. Solinu is his head should be studied by science, right? It's just. It's ridiculous.
He's a mystery, that guy, to be honest. He's I don't know, he's mad. He's like, no disrespect at all, he's not got much technique, has he? It's like, it's not nice to watch at all, but there's something in his hands that just puts people to sleep.
Yeah, I think his hands and his skull are made of titanium or something, but I used to be a Letway commentator, so he's legend. He is legend. Like, he's traditional Letway.
He pulls crazy crowds at one, like
he's
half
an icon. He's fought traditional Letway many times.
Oh, is he like a star? Is he a star in Burma?
Massively, like, so, you know, like you get knocked out and you get time to recover and you carry on fighting. Like, that's what his brain has been through on many occasions.
You get 5 minutes to sit in the stool or 2 minutes in it, and that's insane. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's mad. So he's just no stranger to any kind of hardship or war. He just keeps marching forwards, and he's gonna have to. I think Nabil, right, in terms of technique, is going to be the favorite here, but he's going to have to put him away. He's going to keep coming, or just be classy and stay on the outside. But I think Nabil will be going for the finish, won't he?
I think he's going to be patient. I think he's going to be a bit like Lobo, like the Lobo fight, where he's just a bit patient, and I don't think he's going to go wild for the finish. That's what I think, anyway. I don't know what JP thinks.
I don't think he'll rush in either, to be honest, because he's not going to want to make a mistake. Like, he's technically better than the boy in all areas, so why would they need to go in and get into a firefight with the boy and then make it? Because in small gloves, if you make it into a firefight, then you're tossing a coin in, it's 50-50. Somebody's going to go. So I think he'll just play. I think he'll throw his shots nice and hard, but I think he'll play a good Muay Thai game. And I don't think the boy will beat him, to be honest. I don't see it. I don't see how.
Solinu's only 32 years old. I spoke to him after his first win in One Lumpini, and he was like, I was like, any thoughts of going for the title? He's like, no, I'm too old for that. I'm just here to inspire the younger generation. Like, you're only 32, and you look great. And then he's won 3 since, and he's looked fantastic. And now he's got the number 3 guy in the division. Be a bit of a rocky story if he does win. Like, Myanmar is going to go absolutely mad, and they've been through so much.
No, definitely.
Yeah,
he's the underdog. Why to get the fight, isn't it? Because it's a popular. Like, Nabil's really popular now, and then he's really popular. So I think it's kind of a. Yeah, I think that's probably why they made the fight.
If we're making predictions, though, we're going for Nabil. I think.
Nabil.
Yeah.
I do. I think the rocky story of Solinu would be something special, but the head says Nabil as well.
I couldn't say otherwise anyway, so I'd have to go with Nabil.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Unbelievable talent though. Like, I first saw Nabil when he was fighting Letway at 16 years old during the pandemic. Like, so says something about him. Yeah, he's had one Letway fight and he was 16, and he beat a guy from Myanmar.
I didn't even know that. I never even knew that.
Yeah, absolutely mad. But yeah, certainly one to watch, I think, in this division. The fact that he's already got that ranking next to his name at 20 years old, I think says an awful lot about him and just how good he is. Everyone's known about him for a long time, though. Huh? Elsewhere, before we get to the main event, Sur Black Kulabdam, this is such an important fight for both these guys, right?
Yep.
How'd you see it going?
Kulabdam, KO.
Left meaty, right?
Yep. I don't think Sir Black will beat him. I just don't. I think Kulabdam struggles against ties, which sounds mental. He does struggle against ties, but I don't feel that. I don't think he's going to be scared of Sir Black. I think the problem with Kulabdam is he gives like ties like Nongo, Samapet, etc. too much respect because of where they've been and where they've gone. And Kulabdam openly says in interviews like he holds these guys in such high regard. I believe that he knows Sir Black always fought at a level below him in the stadiums and stuff. I don't think he will have any fear towards Sir Black. Sir Black's chin's really questionable. And I believe Kulabdam's going to come in nice and aggressive, and I think he'll knock Sir Black out.
Strong. That's some nice insight. Pete, have you got any thoughts on this one?
I'd probably say Kulabdam as well, to be honest. Yeah.
I always think Sir Black's been fun to watch, but maybe doesn't back himself enough. Like, do you know what I mean?
I think it's a confidence thing. Like years ago in the stadiums, it was kind of the same. Do you know what I mean? I don't think it's so. A lot of people say it's his heart, but I don't believe it's his heart. I believe it's just a confidence thing. And I believe Kulabdam's going to come in full of confidence. Kulabdam isn't going to come in holding him in the same regard he holds Nongo and Samapet and stuff in. He's going to come in to fight, and when he comes in to fight, you've seen him before, like when he fought Tyson Harrison and stuff. Like he just comes in and he just throws and throws and throws and doesn't stop. And that's Sir Black's kryptonite in it as a hard shot to the chin. So
yeah. I think that's the same for a lot of people. But you boys work with these guys. Yeah, you work with them closely. One thing that recurs, I mean, I've been interviewing fighters for over 10 years. One thing you hear 95% of the time is, I'm the best in the world. And if you don't have that mentality, is there any other way to be? I don't know. What do you think, JP? You've got to have that belief, right?
If you're not like, if you don't feel like that, then you're putting yourself behind already, aren't you? Like, you need to believe that. Can't be like, oh, I don't know if I could beat him, or like that just means you're just happy at the level you're at. Like, you need to believe. You don't need to just say it at the start. Maybe you need to start saying it just to convince yourself that you're eventually start believing yourself. Do you know what I mean? If you put in the work and stuff like that, then you might know how to, but you'll get close. Do you know what I mean? You need to believe in yourself, and you need to believe you can beat anybody. Because the person standing in front of you probably believes the same, and if he believes that, then do you know what I mean? You're already putting yourself at a loss. So that's the thing with my fighters. My fighters believed they could beat anybody. Like Stevie wasn't like that before, but I had to like push Stevie to start thinking like that. Do you know what I mean? And now he's I know Stevie wants to fight everybody. So
it'd be another good one to have on that Britain card if we get to see it next year. Was people talking about him fighting Freddie Haggerty? That'd be a nice one.
Definitely, aye. It'd be a great fight, and it'd be especially for the UK card as well. That'd be massive. It'd be absolutely huge. We'd be ready anyway. I'm sure they would want it as well. So Stevie's fighting at a slightly higher weight now, though. But Freddie's obviously going to get bigger as well. Do you know what I mean? I think Freddie fights at 125, is it, Pete?
Yeah, 125.
He's no way.
At 125, Stevie's up at 130. You know, he just knocked out Focus PK Sanjay at 130.
Wasn't it the same shot as Nika?
Exact same shot. They were both fighting southpaws, so we just game planned the exact same. More so for Focus's left kick because he's a strong left kicker, and it was Samapet's left hand. But the offensive shots we drilled all the same. It was the exact same shot. Actually, it was identical.
You must be proud of that.
Like, it was Pete that said to me, Pete's like, let's just put Stevie up a weight because he kind of struggled with his last couple of cuts because we were maybe just pushing him too far. And I'm like, well, if he's not knocking people out, because he never knocked, he fought Long Earn Sosamai, he never KO'd him. And I'm like, well, if he can't KO somebody at 125, how can he KO somebody at 130? Pete said to me, at 130, he's going to have more power. And then he went, that's the first time Stevie's ever slept somebody like that. Like, he's knocked out a lot of people on one. He's had like 4 KOs. But it's like peppering them when they go down. But that shot was just like, boom, lights out, and the boy was sleeping. So, I mean, that was like proper power. So the move to 130 was a great was a great move, to be honest.
Pete, you're talking about JP was talking about belief. Out of everyone you work with, who mentality-wise is an absolute monster? Do you reckon?
Do you know what? I just find that's what separates the best from someone at like a lower level, just starting off, to the best. Like, it's that mentality, that confidence / arrogance, like they've got the belief in themselves. I think that's what separates, like, that's what Liam's like, that's what Haggerty's like, Nico's like, Smiller's like that. Just that mindset of they're the best and they train like that, and it's just that constant focus of getting better and getting better.
Let's run through a couple more on the card then. I want to talk about I definitely want to talk about Akimoto and Enahachi. This is an important one. Nico's talked about wanting to kickbox, right? So has he got an eye on this at all, just for what might happen in the future? And Ilias coming back is massive.
Nico's in tunnel vision mode right now. Nico's only got one thing on his mind. I'll watch it, but I'll watch it very closely. But because obviously I've just to keep Nico's options open and keep him busy, I would obviously be very, very open to the idea of kickboxing as well. And once he's got the bantamweight belt, obviously would like to get a second one. So I'll have watched it, but Nico's in total tunnel vision mode right now. Nico's just got one person on his mind, and that's it.
Any inkling as to when that might go down? Are we thinking December?
I'd love it to be December. Superlex, I'm quite friendly with Superlex team. Superlex taking a break right now. Obviously, he's had quite a busy year. We really, really, really hope it's December. But again, if the company want it, perfect. But Superlex obviously needs to want it as well. I know he wants to fight, but if he's having a break, there's nothing we can do about that. But I'm pretty sure if last fight was September, December seems like a perfect time to fight. So I think it'd be perfect. I think everybody's waiting on it as well. So
be massive. What are you expecting, guys? Then Akimoto and Enahachi. Are you expecting Enahachi to come back as good as ever?
Yep, I think so.
I've got to be biased. I've liked to work with him, so yeah.
You work with an Ilias?
Yeah.
I never knew that. I never knew what to do.
Yeah. I have to say, IPAZ VZV, I agree with you. It will be nuts. I cannot wait. Man, that fight, that's one that you get some friends round, get a barbecue, get hyped up. I better be there. But I'm saying if I was sat at home, that's the one you get up for. That would be legendary. Yeah, I mean, look, two former champions. Ilias says, I beat Superlex. Who can say that in one championship? Which I thought was quite cool, quite bold. You know, a lot of people think he didn't win that last fight. It was quite contentious. So, and they were supposed to fight again, and then he moved up weight. They've got a bit of history. But Ilias wants to fight Haggerty, right? So could be interesting. He's certainly one to watch. It's nice to have him back in the mix. And then Akimoto is going to be feeling hard done by because he feels that he won that Weiri fight. I'm not so sure. I think Weiri did enough just to score points and was just smart about it. Don't know if you saw that fight.
I never actually watched that fight, to be honest.
Was that on the Impact Arena card?
No, that was a Lumpini.
Or was it?
Like a lot of, I don't think it was a robbery. It could have gone either way, but I think Weiri just did enough on points in the first couple of rounds. I haven't rewatched it, but that's how I remember it. And yeah, I remember expecting Akimoto to win and just thinking, "Ooh, I don't know."
I think I was at that card. I can't think who was on, but I can't think when that was on.
Was that Smiller? Was Smiller fighting? Was that the one? Maybe we were preoccupied because of all that.
I think I was there because I remember seeing him. Yeah.
But Akimoto is going to be fired up for this one. It's a big night for Japan. We've got to talk about Takeru. The guy is a star. I must say his kimono is just sick. Like, that guy's got style. He designed that himself, and he designed his fight shorts. He is a star, but
the Japanese always have the best riggers. Always.
Yeah, I remember in the Japan, because I worked him on Fight Week in Japan the Superlet card, and like he was wearing like a red one, and it looked cool. I was like,
Hey, they get all the stuff pure tailor made in that. Like the Japanese have always been famous, like especially with like K1 Max and stuff like that. Their rigets are unreal. So always get like the tassels and stuff on it, and the fur and that. I think the Japanese they've always made a very big deal of their outfits for fights.
Well, his hair was like perfect. Like he had like someone like spraying up and down. It was crazy.
Agree. Japanese are the stylists. Yes, stylist. Great word. He's got to win this, right? He was supposed to fight. Was it Black Panther? Then pulled out, and then now Tanzin, by no means a kickboxer. Hard as nails. Yes, only 19. Has fought Letway, so ridiculously durable. Good punches, good kicks. But you would think fighting a guy who's by no means a kickboxer is a good matchup for someone who like Takeru, who's an icon of the sport. What do you think?
I don't see how he beats Takeru. I think that boy's particularly good in small gloves because he's not so much a Muay Thai fighter. He's not so much a Muay Thai boxer. He's a fighter, isn't he? Yeah. And I believe putting the bigger gloves on him takes the risk factor away from how heavy and damaging his shots are going to be. Has Takeru fought people like that before? Probably 100 times. And I don't know. I don't think it's going to be very competitive, to be honest. I think the boy's brilliant in 4 ounce gloves. He's super entertaining. When that boy fights, I always make sure I go to Lumpini. I love the way he fucking punches himself in the face and stuff when he gets hit. Like nothing hurts him. But I think Takeru's going to be levels above, to be honest, and kickboxing. Like it's his game, innit?
He's an absolute savage. And as of today, again, I tweeted about this, but Chatri says bout agreements have been signed, venues have been agreed. Rodtang and Takeru, all they have to do is win. So Jacob Smith might want to try. Jacob Smith might have something to say about it. But let's be honest, both those guys are absolutely the favorites in both of those fights, right? It's theirs to mess up. But what a fight that will be. I mean, we've been talking about Rodtang Takeru for years, and it's a blockbuster. It's what you look for, right? 2 stars at the peak of their powers, more or less, going at it. It's got to be in Japan, right?
I'll be honest, I'd rather, like, even though like the Nico fight happens with Superlek, but I think Superlek Rodtang for me is more of an exciting fight.
Don't say that.
Superlek Rodtang. But like I'm talking like after other fights have happened, that would be. I mean, like after other fights have happened.
After.
Yeah.
But isn't it set up perfectly? Because if Takeru fights Rodtang, Nico fights Superlek, do it all in Japan. That would be amazing.
That would be unreal. That'd be a dream to do that, because the atmosphere in Japan's meant to be absolutely insane. I obviously love fighting at Lumpini. Like, I love taking the boys to Lumpini. It's like the Mecca Muay Thai in it. I love them fighting in front of the Thai fans. We've got a big support here as well. But a fight at that level deserves to be in an arena like in Japan or Denver or something like that. Like, it'd be insane.
I'd like to say the success of the US so far, I hope that just opens up Pandora's box in a good way. You know, I hope the sky's the limit. Like, we want to see. I mean, already the fact that they're going to do 4 tentpole shows a year is so positive. Impact Arena was full last time. What is that? Like more than 10,000 or 8,000, something ridiculous, wasn't it? You boys were there, were you?
I didn't go to that because that's all the drama that happened with Liam, so I just didn't watch that card. It couldn't be fucked. Watched it. Couldn't be fucked watching it.
Wait, but let me put it like this. So yeah, of course, Rodtang Superlek, that one was a classic. You know, Joe Rogan was going on about that being a classic, and it was. I was there. My friend was fighting Seksan in the co-main, and they both went to hospital. Amin Azeri, but I just like snuck my head round the door to see a bit of Superlek Rodtang, and it was a banger. But you got Nico Superlek, Rodtang Takeru. And then it all works out. Let's say Nico beats Superlek. Superlek's still there for Rodtang. Or you've got the rematch. If Takeru beats Rodtang, you've got the Superlek rematch, because Superlek Takeru, I think, did really well It was a great fight, got loads of eyeballs. Takeru wants that rematch, and I don't know if he nearly finished him, but he had him in trouble, right? He had him in trouble.
Warrants a rematch that fight. I don't think there's any. I don't know. I think Suplex clearly won that fight. I was there. I don't. I think I realized that fight how good Suplex actually was.
Yeah. I think a lot of people did. A lot. That was
I've
casual
seen Suplex hurt as well, to be honest.
Yeah.
First time I've seen him hurt as well. He's like what he done in that fight was very smart for a kickboxing fight. Like, it looked terrible. Like, he was bent over, like, just protecting his body. Like, it looked ridiculous. You know what I mean? But it was the smartest thing he could have done. That's just pure experience and IQ. Like, it didn't look pretty, but he knew exactly what he was doing. But if he gets hurt to the body in a Muay Thai fight, you can't do that. You can't do that, obviously.
What I'm saying is, let's say Takeru beat Rodtang. He would be on. He would go to another stratosphere, right? He would have to destroy Tanzin to get. Or he just got to beat Tanzin to get the Rodtang rematch. If he beat Rodtang, then we could talk, because you could sell the fight off that alone, and you could sell it off what he did in that 4th round.
Yeah.
Just saying, there are some very fun fights to be made.
Yeah,
I definitely.
I find that frustrating, because obviously I'm in the business of trying to tell stories and hype fights. Tanzin doesn't even have social media. Like, you've got him fighting this.
I think
he probably has Facebook, but like, Takeru is a star. Like, he's got almost 1 million followers. Everything he posts just goes.
These boys from Myanmar don't post nothing about their fights online. Don't do nothing. They literally come down with their families. They go in and fight, and then they go straight back to Myanmar on a minibus with all their supporters as soon as the fight's done. So they're a different breed. They're proper strong, and they
For
just
sure.
they don't give a fuck about all the bright lights and stuff. Like, they're just fighters.
100%, they're pure fighters. But from my point of view, trying to build fights and tell stories.
No idea what's that.
I don't want to build them. I want to help build them and like hype them up so that they get bigger fights and bigger checks. So
they need to be interested in that, but
you'll share a post from like 2013 or something like that. That's all you've got on the Facebook.
Fair. Yeah. Someone says the land borders of Myanmar are closed. Yeah, Myanmar's going through a terrible time at the moment. It's tough. But they could still have an Instagram and hype themselves up. I don't know. Is that fair? I don't know. It's an unbelievably tough time in Myanmar, and these guys are absolute warriors. So you cannot disagree with that. Let's do the main event then. Superbon, Joe Nattawut. For a start, very surprising that this matchup was made. But apparently Tawanchai has been carrying an injury, and they weren't sure if he was even going to make Atlanta, which again would be a bit surprising. Why this now? If Tawanchai was a doubt, but I suppose I don't know, man. I wouldn't want to be fighting Superbon and then have Tawanchai in November. What do you make of this?
I think it's crazy that they double book fights. That's my opinion. Like, you've got 2 fights lined up. I just thought.
I was just about to say the exact same thing. I thought that was about
I just don't get it, because it leads into like complications where, like, what's happened with Stamp and when she got injured. So you kind of like.
Like, if it was my fighter personally, like, if Nico was booked to fight somebody in November and then they were fighting in September, I would obviously have something to say about it, because I'm like, well, we're in camp training. Is this fight going to happen? What happens if he gets injured? Do you know what I mean? So, like, I wouldn't. I'm not a fan of that, to be honest. The double booking the fights. Aye.
Superbon says his plan is basically to knock out Joe and take his place. He's made it very clear he wants that Muay Thai belt, and why wouldn't he? How do you see it going?
I think Superbon. I just think Superbon's better in all areas. Joe's a lot strong. He's a lot more stronger. And he'll come to scrap more than Superbon wants to, but I just feel like Muay Thai is, I think Superbon will do. But I wasn't too impressed with Superbon's performance against, was it Gregorian he fought on one?
Yeah.
He looked particularly aged in that fight. I don't know if you thought the same. He looked very slow. He gassed very early, but he was just opening a gym at the time. He had a lot going on and stuff, so it could have been something to do with that. He seems very confident for this fight. It looks good in the gym. Superbond.
Superbond's definitely
Head kick knock. Possibly head kick knockout.
It's always a possibility. He's the bookie's favourite. Pete, what do you reckon?
I'd probably say Superbond, to be honest. Yeah.
I like interviewing him because his English is perfect and he always speaks his mind. The Thais give him a bit of stick for it though. They think it's too brash or arrogant.
That's some you just Thailand love like the full like kind of respectful thing and like being very, very humble, which is good. But it's just like it's a business in it, and Superbond knows that. Superbond knows the boxing industry is a business, and he knows what sells, and he knows you need to show your confidence, you need to show your belief in yourself, and that it's not arrogance. It's just, and it's no lacking humbleness either. It's just a business, and that's it. I don't believe he's just disrespectful in any way, but he does get a lot of stick from like Thai fans about it. But everybody's going to need to move in the same direction. Do you know what I mean? If fighters want to grow and stuff like that, you need to sell yourself. And he sells himself very well. Look at him, he's an absolute success. His gym's mobbed. He's fucking...
Yeah, it's good up there. I've got to go and check it out. It looks quality.
A great facility. It's a great facility. The trainers are brilliant as well.
Pete, how do you find it with some of your athletes? How do they juggle being business owner, being a gym owner, or being a star and doing media and being an elite fighter? Because I see a lot of that when people are starting to open a gym or starting to be a model or something, like a lot of people say Tawanchai might get distracted because he's so in demand by all these different brands. He pushes back against that because, he's a pure fighter as well. But how do you see different fighters try and juggle that?
I think it's obviously you got to sell yourself, but when you go into modeling, because you probably see it like Rodtang, and he's doing all things now, and is his mind fully focused on fighting? I don't know. I think it's definitely a distraction, but at the same time, you've got to be active on social media. As JP said, you've got to sell yourself because it's a short career, so you got to make as much money as you can. But I think always that obviously if you've got aspirations to be a champion and stay at the top, I think the main focus is still fighting at the end of the day, because that's your main source of income. That's your bread and butter. But yeah.
There's one more fight I want to just talk about quickly before I let you boys crack on. Is Mohammed Sriasiani. He gave me a black eye once, and he's an absolute top man. He is fighting Shadow. He's a madman. I don't know if you saw his clips where he sort of lets people hit him in the middle of the fight. He's only 22.
I like Mohammed. I think he's a really nice guy, but I hate that punching yourself in the face. It's not a good thing for kids to watch and up-and-coming fighters to watch. It's not smart. It's really, really dangerous. And when you're taking the shots to the face, you're losing. Do you know what I mean? You're just letting yourself get scored on, and it's no smart. And it's good for an Instagram reel, but if you're a young fighter watching this, don't do that ever.
Yeah, I think he said the same. He said his family doesn't like it and he won't be doing it again. But
it's stupid.
He made a name for himself though, and but Shadow's very talented. What do you expect from this fight?
I think Shadow's really found himself on one. I thought he looked really good in his last fight. He's loving the bonuses and stuff as well, isn't he? So
was it the French lad?
Yeah. He was brilliant in that last fight. I really, really rate Shadow. He had a bit of a rocky first fight on one. But I feel like he's found his feet and stuff now. I think he's going to do very well in one. Shadow's a massive draw as well. He pulls massive crowds. He's very, very popular in Thailand. So I'm going to go Shadow.
This is a ridiculous card, isn't it? And you got Sam A coming back as well.
Against Akram. Akram's
one.
a beast.
Yeah,
Yeah,
what do you make of that?
I don't think, after a long layoff, I don't think the best fight for Sammy would be Akram. After watching what Akram just done to Kongchai, that was a career-shortening knockout that he gave Kongchai. It was really, really brutal. Akram really surprised me. My money would have been on Kongchai. But Akram, I think he lit him up and it was done within a minute or something. Head kick and then an absolute barrage of punches. Akram's he's on fire, you know. And I think he'll maybe catch Sammy cold in the first round, to be honest. A lot of fighters take time to warm up. Akram is ready to fight as soon as the bell goes. You know what I mean? Like, even a lot of foreigners would take a bit of time to warm up, but literally as soon as the bell goes, Akram's warmed up and ready to go.
Mate, and these little gloves as well. Bang. Looking forward to this one. All right, so as we wrap up then, where can people catch you boys, and what have you got coming up over the next couple of months that's exciting you at the moment?
So
Pete?
I've just started to build my own gym in Bangkok right now. I'll be back and forth to the UK a wee bit, get Nico and Stevie ready. Nico should be going for the title in December, hopefully, and Stevie will make another appearance on One Lumpini in December. So that's what I've got going on.
Quality. And where can people catch you?
What, online?
Yeah.
What social media? I'm not where. My Instagram's at JP Gallagher. That's that. Nice and easy.
Cool. They're not going to be going through your bins. That's all good. And what about you, Pete?
Just got 3 lads on this week. Then got 2 people on the card, the Prime card next week. Then I go back to UK for a few weeks. And then hopefully a busy end of the year, because, you know, with one championship, people get last-minute call-ups. Hopefully Nico fights, Evie's back on. Hopefully Ellis gets back on, John DeBella. And finish off the year. So obviously Jacob and Rod Tang. I'm planning on going out there. Just going to do it from the UK because I did it from Asia and it took me forever to get to them. That was the worst flights I've ever had. So yeah, busy end of the year and hopefully yeah. Really, anyone to find me, just go on Condition Nutrition on Instagram and yeah.
Mate, thanks so much for joining us, guys. I appreciate it. Who's going to get fight of the night on 81?
Who's going to get fight of the night or fight of the night?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Fight of the night, as in most competitive in it. It's not really like fight of the night.
What's going to be the most interesting fight in your opinion? Like, what's going to bring the most fireworks?
I think Nongo. I think the Nongo fight.
I think that's the one that most eyes are going to be on a Nongo fight. Because, like, I think Nongo's he's an amazing Thai boxer, but he can punch and he can fight as well. If he comes back with a vengeance. And do you know Nongo's particularly good at fighting against these styles that scut around? Look what he done to Ramazanov. Like he played the game with Ramazanov, and then when he got a bit of confidence, he ran through him like a ton of bricks. I'd love to see him come back and do that. If he does, that'll be fight of the night. Most interesting fight of the night for sure.
Great shout. IPAVs, VZ versus Enahachi Akamoto. Yeah, I mean, 2 former champions, 2 elite kickboxers. And how good is Ilias coming back after a layoff? Very intriguing.
Amazing.
Boys,
I'm looking forward to seeing Otis. That's probably the one that because he's such a good big talent. The second fight, that's probably the one that I'm looking forward to from a personal point of view.
To be fair, I'm really looking forward to Otis as well. Another boy for the UK. The more boys for the UK that are putting the spotlight on the flag and knocking top level ties out, especially being young, marketable. I think it's just good for the UK, and I'm very excited to see Otis as well.
Lots to look forward to. I'll catch you boys in Bangkok. Have a good one. Cheers.
So see you soon. Cheers, mate. All right, bye.